ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः।
Dear friends, welcome back to the study of the Bhagavad Gita, the end of the second chapter, famously known as a section of Sthitapragyasya Lakshana, that is, the signs and symptoms of a realized soul. We have been at it, though it is a revision and a re-revision, re-summarization, but we have been at it in great depth. And we have seen how from shloka number 62, Dhyayato Vishayan Punshan Sangasteshu Pajayate, to we have seen Buddhi Paryavatashtate, that is shloka number 65. We have spent 2 discourses on these 4 shlokas. Now it is time we go forward. He first says in shloka number 62 how a human being is habituated in living in this world, interacting with this world through the stimulation of 5 sense organs and spontaneously and automatically reacting to those stimulations. Reaction by liking or disliking, raga, attachment, dvesha, aversion, liking, disliking. And because of this flow of liking and disliking, when I succeed, my liking matures into admiration, appreciation, and then a desire for acquisition. This is how it flows. And if somebody stops me, I get angry. If something comes as an obstacle, I lose my cool and my poise. I lose my sense of propriety. I lose my sense of discretion, what to do, what not to do, when I am a victim of any of these 6 passions. Sri Krishna has made it a very thorough, detailed, analytical study, and which we have studied quite in depth, giving us a lot of time. If you have missed on it, dears, please kindly look back to these talks which are available to you on record. Now let us go forward. He has said, this is what is spontaneously happening to us. He analyzes it to convince us that it is a correctable error. He tells us the process of correction. And then he tells us, if you correct that error, this is what will happen to you. That is, you will be in an undisturbable, undescribable tranquility, poise, serenity, and ecstasy. These will be your natural, spontaneous reaction when you live in this world. So he has made it abundantly clear how we go wrong, or why we go wrong, how we go wrong with that particular detailed analysis. He teaches us how we can rectify that error, what is the process of rectification, and if we rectify, which is quite a back-breaking job, what is the reward that waits for me? That is what he says. Prasanna chitta ashu, prasanna chitta ashu, buddhi parya vatishtate, parisamantat vatishtate. You are convinced that the divine is everywhere, it is in you, it is outside you, it is dressed up in four concepts: name, form, qualities, and utilitarian values. And you have developed that insight to constantly focus your attention to the awareness of presence of the divine. That is what is known as your intellectual conviction, buddhi, akashavat, parisamantat avatishtate. As ether is everywhere, similarly this intellectual conviction will be with you everywhere for all times to come, for all situations. What is that? Awareness of presence of the divine. He has completely explained this to us, and we have spent two long hours in understanding this. Let us now go forward. That is, we now have to study 3 more shlokas to conclude this section. From 62, shloka number 62, we have studied up to shloka number 65. Today we will study 66, 67, 68, where this section of discussion comes to a fruitful close. Now he has said what will happen to me if I follow those instructions. It is better for me to know what will happen to me if I do not follow the instructions. What will be my state in this world? How do I live in this world if I refuse to accept and assimilate the teachings that Sri Krishna has been mentioning from shloka number 62 to shloka number 65? He makes it very clear. Nasti buddhir ajuktasya, nacha yuktasya bhavana, nacha abhavayata shantir, ashantasya kuta sukham. This is the verse. What does he say? He says, tasya buddhi parisamantat avatishtate. That was the last statement in the previous shloka, the last quarter of the last line. That is, if you practice the previous disciplines, the end result is you live in this world. The 4 concepts are there. Your sense organs are outgoing. Everything remains the same. But you hold your wisdom, your maturity, by holding your indriyas in such a manner, they don't stop seeing the 4 concepts. They have been educated now to see the presence of the divine everywhere. That means you have been able to divinize and totally saturate your personality with the awareness of presence of the divine, and thereby you live in God, you live with God, you live for the sake of serving and interacting with God, and that too by the blessings of God. Nothing but God in your life. This is what will happen to you. Now, there is another set of examples. What is that? What will happen to me if I don't listen? I would like to know. Why? I would like to contrast. Measure it a balance of advantages and disadvantages, and I will decide which is good for me. As commonsensical as that, and Sri Krishna is a party to this stupid approach of mine. He says, all right, I'll tell you what happens to you. I've told you what will happen to you if you discipline yourself. I've told you. You want to know what will happen to you if you don't discipline yourself? Listen to me carefully. I will tell you plain and simply what will happen to you. He says, Ajuktasya buddhir nasti. Nasti buddhir ajuktasya. The first quarter of the verse or first half of the first line. Ajuktasya buddhir nasti. He does not have that rock-solid intellectual conviction that God is everywhere, He is in me, He is everywhere, and I can experience His presence both in me and everywhere. That person who does not want to listen to my discipline previously mentioned, he does not develop that rock-solid conviction. Why? He is subject to the vagaries of his sense organs. His mind keeps on roaming about, his indriyas keeps on its outward journey. He does not develop himself, discipline himself. Therefore, he has no control or no connection with the ideal. What is the ideal? I live to live in God, with God, for the sake of serving God, that too by the grace of God. That is the purpose of my life, which is a rock-solid intellectual conviction. If I don't discipline myself, if I continue to behave the way I am living in this world and behaving in this world today, I will never develop that rock-solid intellectual conviction that I am capable of potentially manifesting the divinity in me. I am in a position to manifest the divinity already within me. This link will be broken. Ajuktasya, that line of communication with me and my God will be broken. Ajuktasya buddhir nasti. Then he says, Nacha ajuktasya bhavana. So bhavana means a continuing process of thinking, a stream of similar thoughts, momentarily knitted together in duration of time. That is bhavana, a continuing thought process. I don't have that thought process anymore because I am ajukta. I have broken the link with my God. I am egoistically living with my ego. So I have lost my intellectual conviction, and because of lack of intellectual conviction, I do not have the continuing similar thought processes developing me. Nacha abhavayata shanti. If you don't have that continuing thought process in you, you keep on jumping like a grasshopper all the time. How can you enjoy peace and tranquility, joy and ecstasy? Nacha yuktasya bhavana. So you don't have that process. Because of that, nacha abhavayata shanti. You don't have that peace of mind. If that is not there, ashantasya kutashukham. Where is that spiritual ecstatic joy if you are restless? If you are what you are today, all that you are bargaining for is restlessness, running like a mad bull in a china shop, not knowing what I am doing. Where do you expect to have peace of mind? So, dears, he is giving you a contrasting situation. He has given you a situation, described you a situation when you are immersed in the awareness of presence of the Divine. You are immersed. You are saturated. Even with your wide open eyes, you see the four concepts, but you see the Divine, the eternal existence in it. You have educated yourself to focus your attention on that eternal entity hidden by these four concepts. Dressed up by these four concepts, you see what is being hidden by these so-called dresses, makeups, pretensions. You have educated yourself. If you do not educate yourself that way, if you continue to live your life the way you are living, what happens? You lose in touch and you become a creature of this world. And as you know, you keep on sinking and floating like a piece of cork in a choppy ocean. Like flotsam and jetsam, you keep on floating on the choppy ocean. That is what will happen to you. And in the next shloka, he tells you why it is happening. Indriyanam hi charatam yan mano adhividiyate tadasya harati pragyam Bayur Navam Ivambasi. The last quarter. Bayur Navam Iva Ambasi. What happens to you? He says, have you seen a small little boat which has lost its mooring, it has lost its anchor, and there's a strong wind blowing, and the sea is choppy. What happens to that boat? Anchorless, without any mooring, on a windy, choppy sea. What happens to that boat? Imagine. Directionless, moving around left, right, forward, backward, at the mercy of the choppy ocean, at the mercy of the wind blowing. That is an example. Your life will be a boat in a choppy ocean which has lost its mooring, which has lost its anchor, and there is strong wind prevailing. That will what will happen to you in this choppy ocean, like this world. Indriyanam hi charatam. That is how he starts his shloka. Look, dear, your indriyas, your sense organs, they are in a constant move. Charata means they keep on moving outwards. Jan mano anuvidhiyate. And the mind, your mind, instead of trying to control it, it follows it like a lapdog. Jan mano anuvidhiyate. Tad asya harati pragyam. This way of life will steal away your capacity of real understanding. Harati. Harati means to steal away without your knowledge. You will come to know when you bang your head against a wall. Prior to that, you don't know. Just like a anchorless, without any mooring, a small boat in a choppy ocean with strong directionless wind. That is how you will live in this world. Choice is yours. He gives you two examples. Example that will happen to you if you lead your life accordingly. If you don't lead it like that, if you lead it as you are leading, this will happen to you. You better make up your mind. There is not much of a philosophy in these, because the philosophical and psychological aspect has been very well thrashed out in the past 4 shlokas. Indriyanam hi charatam. Indriyas have the habit of moving around in the outside world. It has created with an outward journey. Your mind, instead of trying to control it, follows it like a lapdog. What happens? Tasya pragyam harati. His wisdom, his maturity, all that he has acquired in his age has all stolen away. How? Just like an anchorless boat moves around in a choppy sea with turbulent wind. That is how you will live. Tasmat, therefore, he concludes in shloka number 68. He says, Tasmat jasya mahabaho nigritani sarvasa indriyani indriyatebhya tasya pragya pratishtita. This is the concluding verse, starting from 62, previous to 62. But the 62 to 68, these 8 shlokas, have to be very well memorized, remembered, and very alertly put into practice in our day-to-day life. Where is my mind going? Is it dislodging itself from its base? The divine is in me and I am in him. Is it moving out? If it has, by force of habit, we bring it back. And I again remind myself, anchor being my mantra. Whatever the mantra may be, the main theme is to develop an identity with the divine, which is in me as my true original nature. And I have to develop that identity. So let us see how he concludes. Tasmat, as for concluding, therefore I conclude. What does he conclude? He Mahabaho. He is addressing Arjuna as a man of great prowess and might. Why? Why is he not addressing him as Arjuna, as Kaunteya, as Partha, as Sabyasachi? He has been addressing him in many names. Why does he address him as Mahabaho, a man of great prowess, great strength? Why? Because Arjuna, you better make use of the strength that you have in you, the strength of determination, strength of willpower. Hey Mahabaho Arjuna, make use of that power which you have within yourself. What is that power? Not a muscular power, willpower. I will, I shall, I must. Hey Mahabaho, tasmat jasya Mahabaho, nigrihitani sarvasa. Nigrihita. Nigrihita means which is held within your grip in such a manner that the indriyas have no freedom to move whichever way they like. My indriyas goes and sits on that chair. I see the name, I see the form, I see the qualities, I see its utilitarian value, but I know it is. It is a part and parcel of that eternal existence. It is, therefore it is covered by these four different addresses. Nigrihita means I focus my attention on the divine present everywhere. Not subjugation, not suppression, but sublimation. What is sublimation? I have educated myself to see the fifth eternal changeless dimension, the existence, Satya. Awareness of Satta is Chetana. I am aware I am. Awareness and amness is inseparable. And as because I am alone, I am in eternal joy. Dvaitadvai bhayam bhavati. Fear comes based on separateness. When there is oneness, that is Ananda Swarupata of Satchit Ananda Swarup. Nigrihita means here in practical life. Dictionary meaning is something. In practical life, Nigrihita means it is so much under my control that I focus my attention on that subject which I have decided to focus my attention. What is that? To see the divine everywhere, with form, without form. I see the chair, but I know I am interacting with that absolute which is in me, dressed up in these four concepts here, dressed up in four concepts there. Animate object sees the divine in an inanimate object. What to speak of seeing the divine in a human form? That is why Swamiji said, where else do you go, dear, to worship God? Wherever you go to worship God, it's an inanimate object. Either a picture or a stone image or a timber image. Whereas God lives in a human, why don't you see the living God in a human? That is what Swamiji's Karma Yoga teaches you. So here he says, Sri Krishna says, Tasmat, therefore now, after these 8 running shlokas, let me conclude. Conclusion to whom? Through Arjuna addresses him Mahabaho, thereby suggesting, develop that willpower, my dear reader, so that you can hold your sense organs in such a manner that behind these four concepts, the eternal existence always shines forth, which is the essence of the universe, our true original nature. Tasmat jasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvasya. How do I manage it? Indriyani, indriya or tebhyascha. Tasya pragya pratishtita. His wisdom, his mature understanding will be totally ensconced, unshakably placed on the awareness of oneness with the divine. Tasya pragya pratishtita. Indriyani, indriya or tebhyascha. What does it mean in practice? In linguistically, his indriya, sense organs, are totally under control with their relevant objects. Totally under control. That's the meaning. But for a person who wants to experience the state of sthita pragya, whose wisdom is absolutely stable, unshakably ensconced on its seat, what has he to do? Indriyani, indriya or tebhya. Let the indriyas do their job. Your buddhi, your rational conviction, your intellect has convinced you he is everywhere. It is everywhere. She is everywhere. Your choice. Either he or she or it. That is your buddhi. That is your intellect. So nigrihita means when you see, when you hear, when you smell, when you taste, when you touch, let them do their work. But you develop your intellect in such a manner that the awareness of the presence of the divine is paramount. That is the focus. Tasya pragya pratishtita. His wisdom, his maturity is totally stable, irremovably settled in him. So he has now concluded in the 68th shloka. Dhyayato vishayan pungsha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat sriti vibrama sriti bhramshat buddhinasha buddhinashat pranachyati. What is this pranachyati? It is totally destroyed. What is destroyed? The possibility of being one with God within you is totally destroyed if you follow this pattern of your movement of the mind. This is what the two shlokas say. Then he says, if on the other hand, if you manage your mind, always convinced that the divine is eternal and these four concepts are transitory, they are changeful, your buddhi paryavatishtate, absolutely stable, all through the world, permeating the whole cosmos, you will enjoy gradually and slowly, with the purity of your mind and your wisdom, you'll be enjoying that ecstatic divine bliss. Once you enjoy that, this world which loses its hold by making you miserable. The world will have no capacity to make you miserable. It is the divine play. And I am part of that game. So therefore, if you do not do so, this will happen to you. You will remain a victim of this world and its stimulations, just like an anchorless boat in a choppy sea with turbulent winds. It moves directionless all the time, according to the wind and the choppy ocean. That will happen to you. Therefore, my dear, what Sri Krishna tells us is, have a total control on the movement of your mind. Let your mind be totally saturated with your intellectual conviction, rock solid, rational, crystal clear intellectual conviction. The divine is everywhere. Either I try to experience it as an absolute, or in a human fatherly form, or a human motherly form. It is immaterial. They are the absolute. Water is water. When it is frozen, it becomes ice. It again becomes water when it is not frozen. Absolute and the phenomena are the same according to the devotee's choice. This is how Sri Krishna describes these few shlokas, which are extremely important for a person who wants to lead a spiritual life and has to be extremely alert where the mind is moving. Hold it back, put it in its proper place. Bring it back. Nigrihita. Nisheshena grihita. In totality, you hold it and put it in its proper place. What is that proper place? Awareness of presence of the divine. That is the proper place. The word nigrihitani sarvasam means this is how you manage your sense organs and their activities. Now, let us go forward because the most important part is now over. A few more shlokas left, which is more of a conclusion and a little more of examples given to you. Now, he starts another example. What is the distinction between a man of the world who has no desire of being spiritual, or let us not use this hackneyed word spiritual, who has no desire to make himself or herself a better specimen of a human being by merging his personality with the divine. Let us not use the word spiritual or spirituality. A person who has no desire to better the quality of his or her personality to be a better specimen human being, worthy being called of child of God. He has a way of life. And what is the other way of life? A person whose exteriors remain the same. His appearance, his work, and etc., etc., etc. Absolutely same, normal. Whereas he is totally aware. He has to interact with the awareness of presence of the divine in his life. Through meditation, through activity, through study, through doing all sorts of human activities, from a janitor to a priest. Everything is for my God. I offer it to my God. I help to be a pursuer of perfection. I have to be a pursuer of correctness, pursuer of thoroughness, pursuer of excellence. And with this habit of mine of perfectness, I do whatever I have to do. I do it as an offering to my beloved God. Two ways of living. On the face of it, they are the same. By the look, they are the same. Sri Krishna is now putting an example, giving an example. What is the difference between the two? Ja Nisha Sarvabhutana. Yeah. Whichever is darkness and night for all people. Ja, whatever is, Nisha, night, Sarvabhutanam, for all people. What is night? When you sleep away and where there is no sunlight. There is no luminosity, no effulgence. Darkness. Darkness and sleeping away. These are the two ideas that comes from the concept of night. Ja Nisha, that which is like night time, Sarvabhutanam, for all people. Tasyam Jagrati Sanjami. A man of self-control, his Jagrati is awake, aware, alert in that situation. That is, there is no darkness for him, neither he is sleeping indolently. He is alert, awake, attentive. What does it mean? In our day-to-day life, two different types of person. One, at the daytime, he is spending in life in pursuits of the world. And at night time, he spends his life sleeping and doing nothing. There's no light, so he doesn't do it. And the other man, during daytime, it is night for him. Why? That is a time where he undisturbed meditates, makes use of the time to think of the divine. Ja nisha sarvabhutanam tasyam, in that state, jagarti sangyami. A man, a person, a human, he is no more interested in worldly life. That worldly life is being compared with darkness, non-effulgence and indolence. You while away your time in sleep. For a Sangyami Purusha, a man who has taken the vow of making the best use of his faculties, he is alert, awake and alive. What is that? He is alert, awake, and he is absolutely on his toes. What does it mean? He makes use of that time which the other person is spoiling away. He is alert, awake, on his toes to continue his so-called sadhana. Sarvabhutanam janisha tasyam sanjami jagarti. Whatever is night for all, place of darkness of all, darkness here means non-awareness of the divine. In that situation, a man of self-control, he is always aware of the presence of the divine. Jasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. And where people are alert and awake and very much active in pursuit of worldly things, that is darkness and night for a Muni. Muni means a cogitating, thinking human being. Mananashila Muni. Mananashila means a person who has the cogitation, what I should do, what I should not do, what is good for me, what is bad for me. I should constantly be aware of the presence of God and nothing else. So he is now talking to you in a contrasting manner. Sorry. The summum substance is worldly people, they are busy, they are involved, they are pursuing their goals, and they are making use of all their faculties to the best of their ability. What is the goal? achievement of what the world promises to give. That is the goal, to achieve whatever the world promises to be. Name and fame, power and pelf, wealth, health, progeny, and so on and so forth. There are three: Putraishana, Vittaishana, Jashaishana. Three desires, cardinal desires. What are the three cardinal desires? Putraishana. I would like to leave a progeny behind so that I am not forgotten. People come out of it very easily. Vittaishana. Desire for accumulation of wealth. It is a bit difficult, but it is correctable. Third is Yashaishana, to be admired, adored, appreciated by people, which is the most difficult. These are the three Aishanas, cardinal desires. An ordinary human being who has not decided to develop an unshakable, inseparable identity with his God, which is own true original nature, which he wants to manifest, that person sees darkness in this pursuit. Oh, what shall I do with all this? It doesn't enlighten me. It does not attract me. It does not tempt me. It is almost darkness and night for me. I am not involved. Jasyam Jagrati Bhutani, the majority of the world, they are involved in it. Sa Nisha Pashato Mune. Muni, a Mananashila, a cogitative person who is constantly cogitating on manifestation of the potential divinity which is already within me and which is everywhere. I have to develop an unshakable, inseparable relationship with my true original nature, which I have forgotten. It is there, I have forgotten. All that I have to do is to remind myself, the thing is there. Praptasya prapti. I forget my eyeglasses and I get it back. I don't create it. It is there. I've forgotten, I've found it out. I have forgotten my true original nature. I have to find it out. It is there. I don't create it. So dear, this shloka is an example. What is the distinction between a person who is totally involved with this world and a person who is totally involved in awareness of the presence of the divine in his or her life? What is the difference? The difference is where the world is awake, the Mananashila Muni is sleeping, not involved. And where the world is sleeping about the potential divinity of himself or herself, the Mananashila Muni is alert, awake. This is the distinction between a worldly person and a person who swears and professes to manifest the divinity already within us. So dears, We have covered the 69th shloka, and if I am not wrong, we have 4 more shlokas to go to end up the 2nd chapter. Yeah. 70, 71 and 72. That will complete the study of the 2nd chapter, especially the Sthita Pragya's Lakshana, which is the end of it. Dear friends, we are in the fortnight known in Indian calendar as Devi Paksha. Each and every day from the first night of the moon, we are celebrating the awareness of presence of the Divine Mother who comes to this world every year during this period to help her children and to bring joy and hope for all of us. We will be celebrating the 8th day of the moon, that is the 24th. As because we will not be able to meet physically through this modern technology, I express my heartfelt prayers for your spiritual welfare. May the Divine Mother of the Universe bless us all and let us be diligent students so that we can reach our desired goal to be one with our Mother of the Universe. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna